Hi, friends. If any of you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you have known that over the last 3 months, I have had a crazy time of moving. So I wanted to share with you some of the things I learned through that whole experience because it's only through the tough times that we often learn the most about ourselves. For me, this was really strengthened my faith, and it made me smile to see how God showed up in such big ways, because he always does, but somehow in houses and moving, you can really see it. So here's a little timeline just to give you some perspective. On December 14th, we looked at a house. On December 28th, we bought that house. On January 18th, we moved into the house. Keep in mind, we had Christmas and a kid's birthday in between. On January 26th, basically between January 18th and January 26th, I was in charge of staging our old house, which was a whole thing I had never done before in my life, and it really pushed me to my limits and stressors, but I also realized how much I'm capable of. And then within 72 hours of listing the house, we got an offer, went under contract, due diligence, all those things, and by March 6th, we had closed on our other house, moved all of our things, and now we are happily in our new house, all settled, and it's great. So, but that was just a little under 3 months of buying a house, selling a house, moving, staging, and lots of craziness. So really what I want to talk about is the growth I experienced and the insights I experienced during that time. I am so thankful I had learned the Enneagram prior to that and had really taken the time to get healthier. So these are the stages of health, and you are constantly moving up and down these, but you're usually staying within a certain range until a bigger life circumstance pulls you down or helps push you up as you work towards getting healthier in your Enneagram type by combining your Enneagram knowledge often with spiritual practices, which is exactly what I've been doing over these last few years. So the beautiful thing is, even though I was so stressed, every morning I would wake up and I would try to get grounded and centered. This meant doing some deep breathing. This meant praying. This meant sitting in silence, listening to the insight timer, doing some meditations. And the Bible verse that really helped me and that God led me to this at the beginning of this whole move, and I read it every single day to help get me centered. And it was Isaiah 40, starting at verse 3. A voice cries out, "Prepare in the wilderness a road for the Lord. Clear the way in the desert for our God. Fill every valley, level every mountain. The hills will become a plain, and the rough country will be made smooth. Then the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all people will see it." And that was what I clung to during those times, because I did see God provide for me in every single situation. He filled every valley, leveled every mountain, the hills became flat. There were I was about to say knock on wood, but the situation is over, so I know it's true. We had no hiccups or issues that were insurmountable. I truly felt like every single morning God would lay the path before me of staging, selling, moving, running a business, and keeping kids alive and healthy through all of it. And every morning as I would wake up and surrender with presence, surrender my life and my will to God and say, "God, put me where I need to be. I have a plan, but I also know that this is just my human plan. And I know that you have a bigger and better plan for me, for this day, for this move." And I would surrender and stay grounded and centered in the idea that my higher power, or for me it's God, has a better plan for me than I, as Emily, in my ego, or I love that AA saying that ego is edging God out. This is Emily doing it how she thinks it needs to be done. This is Emily having a plan, but you hold on loosely to that plan and say, this is what I think I'm going to do, and then I'm going to let go. As a friend said so perfectly as I was in the midst of some chaos and stress, she said, "Emily, it's like you're floating down a river and you keep trying to put your feet down and get your feet grounded because that feels safer. And you need to kick your feet up, lay back, and let the river take you to where it needs to, where you're supposed to be. And oh man, doesn't that feel so scary to kick your feet up, lay back, and let float on down the river? But that's what we're called to do. It's when we're trying to put our feet down on solid ground in the midst of the moving river of life that we get stressed and pulled and frustrated. And if we can try to keep lifting our feet, relying on God, laying back, and letting the river take us away to where we were supposed to be the whole time, that is truly living in faith. So some of the things I really learned through all of this was how much more capable I am than I ever thought I could. And as an Enneagram 9, in unhealthy levels, I go towards sloth or comfort, but in healthier levels, I go towards action. Now, I definitely was reaching out to my Enneagram 3 and 6 in times of stress, but I really only had a few breakdowns out of the whole 3 months of 24/7 stress. And instead, I was going towards action. I mean, my husband and all of my family kept saying, Emily, we have never seen this side of you. We have never seen you get this much done, because I was in stress, but I had taken the time to get healthier. So that's what I hope for you. And do remember, this was the other parting thing for me when I would get so stressed, is proclaim that all human beings are like grass. They last no longer than wildflowers. Grass withers and flowers fade when the Lord sends the wind blowing over them. People are no more enduring than grass. Yes, grass withers and flowers fade, but the word of our God endures forever. So in the midst of whatever stress you're going through, or in the midst of my moving stress, it's good to remember that we are just like the grass, and we will wither and fade, to remember the bigger picture of life, which is the love that God gives to us and that we are then to share with all others. Thanks.